Have you ever tried to, really get inside a new accent? Or maybe soak up a different culture just by watching films?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like a bit of a cheat code, doesn't it?
It really does.
And that's kind of what we do here at the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We take all your sources, could be articles, research notes, whatever, and we sort of sift through it all. We pull out the key bits, the insights, just for you, the learner. The whole idea is to get you informed, but, without making you feel like you're drowning in information.
Exactly. And today, our mission is to tackle this great list. The top 10 classic Australian films.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, but look, this isn't just about whether the movies are good or bad. Think of this deep dive more like your curated guide.
Okay.
Helping you tune your ear to that Aussie sound, get a handle on the slang, and really feel the cultural heartbeat of Australia.
Right.
You'll see how each film is like a different window onto the language, the culture, even that really specific Aussie sense of humor. We're digging into what these films actually reveal.
Totally. We're looking at, practical English you can use, breaking down some slang, maybe even touching on pronunciation, all through these iconic movies. It's about getting why things are said the way they are.
Okay, let's kick things off. Film number 1 is a big one, pretty gritty, really put Aussie cinema on the map globally. Mad Max, 1979.
Ah, yes. Dystopian post-apocalyptic Australia. A highway cop seeking revenge. Intense stuff.
And for language learners.
Well, Mad Max is it's a pretty raw introduction, but fantastic for hearing a certain kind of Australian rhythm. The dialogue's fast-paced, you get those classic late 70s Aussie accents.
Even though it's not super chatty.
Right, it's not heavy on dialogue, but what's there is revealing. It shows Australian English in this really defiant, almost harsh way. It reflects that survival instinct, maybe a bit of anti-authoritarianism.
That's interesting, that anti-authoritarian streak.
Yeah, those elements, like the sort of no-nonsense vibe, they actually feed into that whole Australian fair go idea, in a way.
You mentioned raw regional speech. How did that sound different from, say, city Aussie English, or maybe how that raw sound has changed since '79?
Good question. The speech in Mad Max feels isolated, almost clipped. It matches the harsh setting.
Yeah.
You don't get the same range of inflections as you might in Melbourne or Sydney speech now. The slang's there, but the tone in Mad Max is almost like a primal scream. Today, urban slang might be more about irony or quick wit. It really shows how the environment shapes the way people talk.
Fascinating. And of course, this was Mel Gibson's big break in Australia. Quite an entry.
Huge start for him. Definitely set a tone for Australian action films. And the iconic line really sums it up, doesn't it?
Which one?
You don't want to make Max mad, because when Max gets mad, he gets even.
Chilling. Okay, let's shift gears completely from that intensity to something very different. Picnic at Hanging Rock, released in 1975.
Ah, yes. The haunting mystery. Schoolgirls vanishing near that rock formation back in 1900.
And linguistically, what does this offer?
A total contrast. It's like stepping back in time, language-wise. You get this rich, quite formal language,
Right.
period English.
Yeah.
There's poetic narration, the speech is slow, very clear. So it's actually ideal for just listening practice, catching the nuances.
So good for tuning the ear.
Definitely. And what's insightful is how it shows you a more structured, less slangy Australian English from that era. You can really appreciate how the accent and the formality have evolved since then.
Yeah.
It's like a little linguistic time capsule.
It sounds great for hearing that older voice. But is there a risk for someone starting out? Is that formal style maybe too historical, less useful for chatting down the pub today?
That's fair. Look, it won't teach you current slang, no. But it will help you nail clear Australian pronunciation and intonation. That's fundamental.
True.
And knowing the roots deepens your understanding of the modern language. Plus, you get cultural insight into a real place, Hanging Rock in Victoria. Great actors too, Rachel Roberts, Jackie Weaver.
And Louise Lambert.
That's right.
And that line that just sticks with you. Oh, yeah. Miranda, don't go or they come back.
Yeah.
Haunting.
Okay, film number 3 takes us from mystery to history, and Mel Gibson's back again. Gallipoli, 1981.
Moving war drama. 2 young guys, rural Western Australia, sign up for World War I, end up at Gallipoli.
Why is this one so important for learners?
Well, Gallipoli is just crucial for getting the Australian identity, and the language reflects that. You hear a mix of country and city accents, great ear training.
Right.
But deeper than that, it brings in historical words, explores themes right at the core of Australian identity, especially the Anzacs, the Australian-New Zealand Army Corps.
That's huge in Australia, the Anzac legend.
Massive. Understanding Gallipoli is key to understanding a big piece of the Australian psyche. The dialogue shows that mateship, that stoicism, which really became part of the national character forged in that experience.
So it's not just vocab, it's how the language itself embodies that emerging character. Besides Gibson, you've got Mark Lee, Bill Hunter. How do the different accents show that identity? Exactly. You hear the broader rural accents, maybe a bit slower, more drawn out, than the sharper, quicker city speech.
Yeah.
That mix kind of quietly shows these different people coming together for one cause. Their regional sounds are still there, but they're united. It shows how the Aussie accent, even with variations, became a badge of shared experience.
And the famous line captures that moment.
I know nothing at this boat. We're going in with the bayonet. Steady, lads. Wait for it. Powerful.
Right. From the trenches, let's head to the outback, but in a very different way. Number 4, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, 1994.
Ah, Priscilla. What a film. Colorful, funny, touching. 3 drag performers crossing the desert in that bus.
Why is this one great for learners?
Oh, it's brilliant. You get this amazing explosion of Aussie, slang, humor, different regional accents, all served up with this fantastic wit. But it's more than just listing slang. Priscilla helps you understand how Aussies use humor, often self-deprecating, lots of irony, a certain irreverence.
Yes.
It's like a masterclass in using language to show defiance, warmth, and that Aussie knack for finding humor in tough spots, all while exploring LGBTQ+ culture in the Outback, which was pretty groundbreaking.
That humor, what makes it feel so Aussie in Priscilla? Is it just the words, or is there something else? The delivery. Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, Terrence Stamps are great in it.
It's definitely more than the slang. It's the deadpan delivery. The way they can be incredibly witty and, frankly, quite rude in the same sentence.
Yeah, haha.
And using understatement in totally bizarre situations. A lot of the humor comes from smashing these flamboyant characters against the harsh, sometimes conservative landscape. The language reflects that clash with this really bright, sometimes cutting wit.
And there's that one line that just perfectly captures the tone.
Oh, yes. Who's going to show me the sights? Be my pleasure.
Yay.
Oh, so how about it? Well, I suppose the fuck's now out of the question.
Classic.
Classic. Okay, number 5 takes us into suburban life. Muriel's Wedding, also 94.
Muriel. Heartwarming, quirky comedy. Muriel, socially awkward, dreaming of a big wedding. Why is this one a gem for learners?
It's just a goldmine for everyday Aussie English. Really shows suburban life, common expressions, lots of emotional, expressive speech.
Very relatable.
Totally. But what's really insightful is it's not just what they say, but how it reveals that Australian tall poppy syndrome.
Ah, yes. Cutting down people who stand out.
Exactly. Muriel wants more, she wants glamour, and how people react to her, the things they say, it perfectly illustrates that cultural tendency. You learn the language and the social dynamics.
You know, watching Muriel's Wedding, it's amazing how common some phrases still are. A friend literally said, "You're terrible," just last week. Totally unrelated context, but everyone got the reference. Toni Collette, Rachel Griffiths, Bill Hunter again.
It's amazing, isn't it? And "you're terrible," it's often not harsh. It's affectionate, maybe a bit cheeky, acknowledging someone's silliness. It's that understated, ironic Aussie way of talking.
Definitely one you'll hear Aussies use with a bit of a knowing smile. Oh, Muriel, you're terrible. No. Okay. Number 6 keeps us in that world of personal challenges. Strictly Ballroom, 1992.
Baz Luhrmann's first big one. Romantic drama, the rebellious ballroom dancer. Challenges tradition, finds an unlikely partner.
What's the language takeaway here?
Well, the dialogue's pretty clear. You get that Aussie humor again.
Yeah.
And big themes of self-expression. It mixes formal and informal speech well.
Useful mix.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is how it shows different cultures mixing within Australia.
Yeah.
You've got the established Aussie ballroom culture clashing with Spanish influences through the new partner.
Right, the Paso Doble.
Exactly. The film uses language and dance to show the friction and then the harmony between these groups. It reveals that multicultural dynamic in modern Australia really vividly.
That's a great point, the language showing the cultural clashes. How does that tension actually come out in the dialogue? Paul Mercurio, Tara Morris, Bill Hunter features again.
You hear it in the sharp, sometimes funny arguments between the old guard and the rebels. The Ballroom Federation people speak in this crisp, almost rule-obsessed way. And that contrasts with the more flowing, passionate, sometimes awkward language of the main characters finding their own way. The language choices really mirror that fight between rigid rules and wanting to be authentic.
And the iconic line really hits that emotional core.
I keep asking myself, why? Did I do something wrong? Did I fail him as a mother? So much angst.
Okay, number 7. Now, I have to admit, I think this might be the best one. For me, anyway. The Castle.
Uh-huh. I can see why you'd say that. It's definitely up there for quintessential Aussie film status.
Yeah.
Beloved comedy, the ordinary family fighting the government to save their house.
What makes it so good for learners?
If you want Aussie idioms and that perfect deadpan humor, this is it. It's just packed with working-class Melbourne speech. You'll learn phrases and references people still use constantly.
Constantly.
And it's not just funny, it's a brilliant look at the Aussie underdog spirit. How the language uses understatement and dry wit as a shield.
Yeah.
It's really insightful about national character, valuing home, family.
It's weirdly timeless, isn't it? What do you think makes The Castle's humor and language stick so much, even now? You've got Michael Caton, Eric Bana in an early role, Ann Tenney.
I think it's just how relatable the Kerrigans are. Their absolute belief in fairness, even when they're totally outgunned, the language feels real. It captures those everyday chat rhythms, the quiet protests, the simple, genuine ways they show loyalty. Australians just recognize it. It taps into that shared feeling of fighting the system and finding the humor in it.
And the lines are legendary. Practically Aussie shorthand now.
Absolutely. Telling him he's dreaming, and of course,
That's going straight to the pool room.
the highest praise.
Okay, coming in at number 8, we have Breaker Morant, 1980.
Right, the historical courtroom drama. Based on the true story, Aussie soldiers on trial for war crimes during the Boer War in South Africa.
What's the linguistic angle here? It seems quite formal.
It is, and that's the value. It's a great study in different registers of language. You get military talk, legal jargon, historical terms. Excellent for understanding formal versus informal English.
Seeing how language changes with context.
Exactly. From the stiff legal language in court to the soldiers' more casual, though still disciplined, speech. And it makes you think, how is language used here? Not just to share info, but to wield power, challenge authority, define what's just, all wrapped up in this really controversial bit of Australian history.
Given it's mostly a courtroom setting, how does it still get across that distinct Aussie voice, especially with so much at stake for the characters? Edward Woodward, Brian Brown, Jack Thompson.
That's the interesting part. Even in that formal court, you hear the Aussies, especially the soldiers, holding on to their direct, often quite blunt way of speaking.
Laconic.
Yeah, laconic. There's a real contrast between the clipped British legal speak and the more down-to-earth, sometimes defiant Aussie replies. It's in those subtle linguistic clashes you see that emerging Australian identity questioning authority, valuing practical justice.
And the famous line really shouts that defiance.
We applied Rule 303, we caught them, and we shot them into Rule 303.
Intense. Okay, number 9 is much grittier. Definitely not one for everyone. Chopper.
Yeah, Chopper. Darkly funny crime biopic. Based on the infamous criminal Mark Chopper Reed, his violent life, prison, his weird take on fame. It's a film that definitely rewards a rewatch.
What does it offer learners, linguistically speaking? It's pretty full on.
It is. It's intense, unfiltered exposure to broad Aussie accents, tons of slang, real street-level language, probably best for more advanced learners.
Right.
But it's brilliant for understanding how language can be, well, a weapon or a shield. Or this strange form of self-promotion. You really get Aussie humor, irony, how language shows class, culture, extreme bravado.
The way Chopper speaks is the character, almost.
Absolutely. His word choices, the way he phrases things,
Yeah.
It's key. Reveals this complex, disturbing, but undeniably Australian figure. But yeah, strong warning, strong language, violence.
The language is so raw.
Yeah.
What does it tell us about Chopper himself and maybe a darker side of Australian identity or crime? This was Eric Bana's massive breakout role, amazing transformation. Simon Linden, David Field too.
It shows that language itself can be a performance, right? Chopper uses words theatrically. Threats mixed with dark jokes, bragging stories. It reveals a subculture where your words, your reputation are everything. The broad accent becomes a tool for intimidation, but also, weirdly, for charm. It's a fascinating look at how identity gets built through language, even in the most extreme situation.
Right. And that iconic line just drips with that menacing charisma.
I'll give you 20 seconds to produce some cash as I'll fucking shoot you. Brutal.
And finally, number 10, we end our deep dive with a film that, for ages, basically was Australia to the rest of the world. Crocodile Dundee, 1986.
Mick Dundee, the classic fish-out-of-water comedy. Rugged bushman goes to New York City, Outback versus the Big Apple.
Why is this one still relevant for learners?
It's just perfect for hearing that comedic contrast between rural Aussie English and American English. Loads of classic slang, cultural jokes.
Yeah.
And it explicitly makes jokes about the language and cultural differences. It became the quintessential Aussie film internationally, partly because it simplifies, even exaggerates aspects of the culture and language for laughs.
Yeah.
But that simplification makes the differences really clear and memorable.
It is a bit of a caricature, like you say. But how much truth is there in those linguistic contrasts it plays on, even if it's exaggerated? Paul Hogan, Linda Kozlowski, Mark Blum.
Well, there's definitely a core of truth. That contrast between the laconic, direct, often understated Outback speech and the faster, maybe more wordy American style, that's real. Crocodile Dundee leans hard into stereotypes, sure, but they're often based on genuine cultural leanings. It amps up the no-worries attitude, the directness of the bushman, and putting him in New York just highlights those linguistic and cultural quirks brilliantly for anyone trying to get a handle on them.
And of course, the line, everyone knows it, still quotes it.
You got to say it.
That's not a knife.
That's a knife. Iconic.
What a list. An amazing run through Aussie film history. These movies really are more than just entertainment, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. They're like living textbooks for Australian English. The accents, the slang, the culture, that specific humor.
You're not just watching a plot unfold, you're sort of immersing yourself in how the language is actually used, how it's lived.
Exactly right. So now you've got this tailored list, a set of resources to keep learning, real examples of how language and culture are just completely tied together. These films show you how Aussies really talk, connect, what they care about. Is much more organic than any grammar book.
So as you dive into these films, maybe watch them again with this lens. Here's something to think about. How do movies, just by reflecting a country's quirks, its struggles, its daily rhythms, how do they offer a deeper way into language and culture than a formal lesson?
Yeah, a more natural path.
And maybe, what do these films show about a culture that maybe even the people living in it don't always consciously notice? Because it's just, how things are, something to ponder.